You believe the history behind sports card giant Topps? If you grew up loving sports, then there's probably a great chance that you've owned or purchased some Topps sports cards in the past. Topps has been a very important part of the sports card industry. They've always been a company that's tried to innovate and change their game to set their product apart. From humble beginnings to being now a piece of a sports manufacturing giant, Topps is still considered to be a leader. Let us take this exciting ride through the history of the sports card empire. The Topps Company has its roots in the tobacco industry. In the 1890s, they were known as the American Leaf Tobacco Company, which imported tobacco to the U.S. and sold it to other companies. The American Leaf Tobacco Company would get taken over by the Shoren family in 1908. However, they would struggle during World War I because they would be cut off from valuable Turkish tobacco. Even after the war, they would continue to struggle with supply issues. That, being paired with the Great Depression, spelled concern for the Shoren family. Because of this, the company realized they had to pivot. Shoren's sons, Abraham, Ira, Philip, and Joseph, would decide to create a new product. They wanted to become the top, or tops, in their industry. This new industry would be the world of chewing gum. The actual Topps company would be founded in 1938 in Brooklyn, New York. Topps would start out by establishing themselves as leaders in an untapped market, that market being chewing gum, which at the time was seen more as a novelty. To set themselves apart, they would create the product Bazooka Bubblegum, which was extremely unique as it was packaged with a small comic wrapper. Realizing they were having great success pairing their gum with this unique gift, they decided to start packaging it with trading cards. Their first attempt would be adding Western character cards with their gum. Famously, it would include Hopalong Cassidy, because at the time, Cassidy was one of the biggest characters on TV, specifically for children. The strategy of Topps was simple. Pair their great product of Bazooka Bubblegum with a quality, unique gift. This would set them apart from competitors and make kids ask their parents for money to purchase some Bazooka Bubblegum. As time went on, Topps realized they could have even more success with their gum in the world of trading cards. In 1951, Cy Berger would become the father of the modern baseball card when he designed the 1952 Topps set with Woody Gilman. The simple design would include a player's name, photo, team logo, and stats. This would set them apart from competitors. Even though sports cards had existed prior to this, these were very unique as they featured information about the players and made them desirable for kids to collect. Even though it seems like a simple concept, the pairing of Bazooka Bubblegum with trading cards was revolutionary. It was essentially the same concept that was utilized in the tobacco industry, where they would pair these unique collectible cards with cigarettes at the end of the packages. They were doing the same here, but this time with their Bazooka gum. The unique designs created by Cy Berger, paired with the novelty of a Bazooka Bubblegum, meant Topps was having great success. However, with success means competition. In the 1950s, Bowman would arrive and they would dispute with Topps over the contracts for the leagues. Because of this, Topps would have to force their hand, acquiring the Bowman Gum Company and their assets in January of 1956. Once taking out one of their biggest competitors, Topps essentially had a monopoly on the industry. They had free reign in the market until the 1980s. They truly dominated and set the standard for the world of cards as we know today. Because of their low competition and unique designs created by Cy Berger, the company was having incredible success with their baseball cards. They were ready for their next big step. The Shoren brothers realized that they could get into the entertainment industry, and they would send Cy Berger across the pond in 1964 to negotiate one of their biggest deals. Berger would appear in London, England, without an appointment. The meeting he was trying to capture? That with the Beatles manager, Brian Epstein. He wanted to sign a deal and create a line of Beatles trading cards, which he would successfully do, all because Cy spoke Yiddish to Brian. The next big moment for Topps came in 1972 when the privately held company decided to go public. Through the assistance of the banking firm White, Weld and Company, they would successfully go public, launching an IPO of 435,000 shares for a price of $17.50. On the IPO launch day, the price would quickly pump up to $22.37. The quick-moving increase of the price was attributed to the fact that the company already had steady earnings and a great history. Even though they would have a successful IPO launch, by the 1980s, they would be struggling to retain their value. The company would post a $9 million loss in 1979, and the share price would hit as low as $2.50. By 1981, Topps could no longer just hold on to the old regime. They were fighting off newly established competition from Fleer and Donruss during what many were calling the baseball card boom. During this time, Topps would also have to fight off an antitrust lawsuit, as competitors believed they were breaking antitrust laws for signing players to exclusive contracts. This would be considered a huge win for Topps when they would take victory in the lawsuit. And with the new competitors in the market now taking a backseat to Topps' exclusive contracts, Topps was able to gain a foothold back on the market. The share price of Topps would skyrocket in 1982 to as high as $21. Due to the large ups and downs for Topps in the late 70s and early 80s due to increased competition, it would make them the perfect target for a leveraged buyout. Forestman Little would take Topps private for $94.5 million. Shortly after going private, the new ownership of Topps would decide once again to bring the company public. In May 1987, they would decide to issue 4.5 million shares of stock with an IPO price ranging between $15 and $18. This was due to their strong earnings report in 1986, where they showed revenues around $147 million. Alex Brown and Sons with Goldman Sachs would handle the IPO this time around, giving even more relevancy to the IPO as Goldman was attached to it, and this carried a lot of weight during the time period. With their new IPO and increased competition in the baseball card space, they were looking to expand further. They would get back into the business of non-sport cards like that of those of the Beatles. They would look for cards like E.T. and Rambo to help give them an edge against the competition during the 80s. Even though Topps had a successful IPO and strong earnings, they would not be able to protect themselves from their junk wax era, an era in which there were tons of cards being produced by all different manufacturers, flooding the market, making millions of cards worthless to collectors. Topps would peak out in the 90s in 1991 with net sales around $290 million. Because of junk wax, the company would look to get into other businesses such as comics with the Kirbyverse and in the world of Premier League soccer. However, neither would help prepare and save them for their future. The company would remain public until 2007, when on October 12, 2007, Michael Eisner and his company, with the partners of Madison Dearborn, would acquire the Topps company. Eisner was just coming off a very successful run as the CEO of the Walt Disney Company and felt he would be the person to save Topps and take them into becoming an entertainment organization. Eisner did exactly that, focusing less on sports cards and more on the entertainment industry, even introducing in 2012 Topps Digital, way before the NFT market was even established. Eisner would try to take the company public once again in 2021 through a SPAC process with a value of $1.3 billion. However, this would not occur as the SPAC would fall through. Instead, Fanatics would purchase the company in 2022 as they had just got the exclusive rights to the MLB. This leads us to where we are today. What are your thoughts on the Fanatics and Topps partnership? Thanks so much for watching Believable Truths.